Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Sunday night, there's nothing good on TV. You know what that means. It's time for spoiler talk. Now, I definitely knew that there were spoilers over the weekend and didn't assume, like a normal set, that it would start again on Monday. So that is the reason why we are having a double episode today, going over all the spoilers from Saturday and Sunday. So with that, let's get into it. We're again going to be back on Energy Goldfish because they do the nice translations for us. Again, some of the names might be out. One is very new, hot off the press, so the name definitely looks wrong to me. I'll put in the descriptions where these originally spoiled. Go check out the original posts or the videos. A lot of cool people doing stuff like that. Well, let's get into the individual cards I want to talk about today. First is Gen Arkham Weaver. It is red, white, black for a legendary creature, human wizard. It is a 2/3. You can pay red, white, black and tap it to sacrifice an enchantment, return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, I'm interested to see if this makes Mardu Enchantress a thing. You lose some of the card draw effects, because that's normally in the green side, but by adding black to it, because traditionally Enchantress is kind of like Banty colours, by adding black to it, you get a lot more kind of horrible cards. You get, some really broken stuff. Also, this could be the Curse Matters tribal leader that some people have been after. I know I've been looking for something to build in that type of vein. Currently, it's been Zancha, but having access to white gives you a lot more of the control-y cards. It's a bad example because of how dumb and expensive it is. But Moat, I know there's like another one from Amonkhet which does something similar, like turns everything into 1/1s or something like that. So yeah, this could be the commander of like a curse deck, which could be really fun. You can also try Enchantment Reanimator. There's plenty of ways of discarding cards in these colours. You can play an enchantment that gives like an effect, like I think the Trials from Amonkhet or the Cartouches from Amonkhet give you an effect when they come in. They could be fun. And then sack them to get a big dumb enchantment back that you put in the graveyard. Or you could just reanimate a god, because most of them are most of the original ones are enchantments. I think in fact all of the original ones are enchantments. So yeah, that could be fun. But yeah, this card seems really cool. I really like all of the 3-color rare legendary creatures in this set. I think they all have, like, apart from the Cascade one, which is a bit linear because it specifically wants you to be playing Cascade spells. I think all the rest do a very good job of. They kind of have a vague theme you can build around them, but they also have flexibility to do a ton of other things as well, which I think is a great way to put 3-color commanders. Just gives people more options to do, so that's always fun. So let's crack on to this big dumb idiot. Apex Devastator is 8 green for a 10/10 creature chimera Hydra. It has Cascade, 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 Cascade. That's a lot of things. Yeah. It does so much with so few words. So obviously this wants to go like the top end of a big mana deck. I think any big mana deck would be happy to have this. One of the main things to note is this doesn't work if you cheat it into play. Cascade you actually have to cast, so it is a ramp deck, not so much a cheat into play effect style deck. Obviously this is obscene in the Cascade deck because Cascade does trigger more Cascade. If you Cascade into a Cascade thing, then you'll get to continue the chain, as it were. And because this is 10 mana, this is going to be the most expensive thing in your deck, so you will hit something to Cascade from. So yeah, cool, love it. I hope to own one. This could do some stupid things, so hope to see what happens with it. Okay, next we have Arden, Intrepid Archaeologist. 2 and a white for a legendary creature, Core Scout. It is a 2/2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may attach any number of auras and equipment you control to target permanent or player. It also has Partner. So this might low-key be my most favourite card in the set, or one that I'm really excited to see. This 100% is a reason to play white. The abilities are really, really interesting. Obviously the most simple one is you can just suit up a creature, move all the equipment you control onto one creature and swing with that creature. That's like the baseline, which is still pretty good. You can move auras around, so again, you can only do this once per combat, but this does trigger with multiple combat steps, which is also really, really good. But yeah, you can move pacifism effects around. You can move curses around. If you did want to do Mardu curses, maybe this in Vile Smasher is a way to go. That could also be sweet. You can give your opponents your grafted war gear, and then re-equip it to one of your creatures, and then they sacrifice their creature. That's a removal spell. You can give them your Skull Clamp. There's a ton of dumb stuff you can do with this card. I have done a deck tech with this and the 0 mana Kobold Rogak, I'll put it in the description below. Yeah, this is what I wanted from white in this set. Something interesting. It's something different that I wasn't expecting, and it again kind of similar to the multiplayer ones, but this time and on common, there's a lot of play. It's not as linear as it can initially look. And for added bonus, it also kind of looks like James Hetfield. Am I the only one saying that? Lead singer of Metallica? No, a little bit. Maybe it's the beard as well. But yeah, I'm into this card. I think it's awesome. I will 100% be either building the Rogark deck that I've already put in the description, or see what else they spoil and see what else I can make with it, because I think this card is fantastic. Okay, moving on to another partner. We have Tormad the Desecrator. 3 and a black for a 4/2 legendary creature zombie wizard. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token with sorry, and I've already said that it has partner. While he's back from the crypt, I will probably build a dredge deck with this somehow. It's really good with Unearth and good with Encore. This is a good uncommon payoff in Limited for the Encore mechanic, because even though you're exiling it, the creature with Encore is still leaving your graveyard, so this will trigger. That's kind of similar to this Conrad thing of like when something leaves your graveyard. So that will go good in that deck. Also, Tormod will go good in the Sir Conrad deck. Or Sir Conrad will go good in a Tormod deck. If I'm honest, I'm not entirely sure what to partner with him yet. I'm sure there's something good you can do with like Ramos, because that lets you replay creatures and stuff, and it'll buff the tokens. That's probably the most obvious one. But I want to play this with dredgers, which means it needs to have green and maybe red or blue. So I don't know. I will come back to you on this one. I will try and do something done with this. I will see how it goes. Yes, I'll report back. Okay, cracking on. We have Hans Eriksen. 2 red-green for a legendary creature human scout. He is a 1/4. When Hans Eriksen attacks, reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature card, put it onto the battlefield tapped and attacking defending player or a planeswalker they control. Otherwise, put that card into your hand. When you put a creature card onto the battlefield this way, it fights Hans Eriksen. So I personally think you need to kind of play this. So there's a few ways of building this. The most basic one, just getting value out of the ability, is it seems to want to go in a go wide strategy. If you bring in like a creature with a token maker, so if you bring in a creature that makes a token, only the creature will fight Hans, not the token. So that's a good way of getting around that ability. This also might be a deck that wants Collected Company. That could be a thing in this deck if you build all your CMCs in the right way. I think that could actually work in this deck. Also, go with me on this. This could actually be a decent werewolf commander, because but basically you're getting to put creatures into play without casting any spells. So you're not. So werewolves is if you don't cast a spell. If a player doesn't cast a spell in a turn, the werewolf will flip into a werewolf. If someone plays 2 spells a turn, they'll flip back. The biggest issue with that is you basically, generally speaking, you aren't playing a spell on a turn to make them flip over. With this, you don't actually have to cast a spell to still be able to forward your board state. So that could be useful. I don't know. It is a way of taking that deck. If you actually want to break this, like there's extra combat steps would be really good, because it's every time it attacks. But to really take advantage of that, you need to really buff his toughness or get him indestructible some way, so that he's not just dying when if you attack and you hit a 4/4, then you just lose your commander, which obviously sucks. But yeah, so toughness, indestructible, that could actually break it with extra combat steps. I think that could be a ton of fun. All right, cracking on to another of the 3 color commanders. We have Obeka Brute Chronologist. Sorry, is that right? Chronologist. There we go. Got it. It is 1 blue, black, red for a legendary creature, Ogre Wizard. It is a 3/4. Has the activated ability. The player whose turn it is may end the turn. So there's some reminder text on this, but this is like Sundial of the Infinite, but on a creature, which is cool. You can do it on other people's turns, obviously, but they have to allow it. So I was talking with some friends yesterday, and they mentioned that if someone tries, so if you have player A, player B, and player C, if player C tries cracking a fetch, cracking a fetch, bloody hell, what's wrong with me? Cracking a fetch land on player B's turn, you can tap this and ask player B, like, do you want them to not fetch? And that can happen. That is something cool. That's just one of the weird things that you can do with this deck. The main thing I want to do with this is I want to reanimate a phage. So if anyone doesn't know, phage, if it deals damage to a player, they lose the game immediately. I think it also has Death Touch. But if you cast it from anywhere other than your hand, you lose the game. Now, you can respond to that trigger with this, so that you end the turn before the lose the game trigger goes off. So you don't lose the game, which is very helpful. No one likes doing that. But so that is one thing I would like to do with this deck. This card is really good with like cheat effects that remove themselves at the end of the turn. So something like Sneak Attack. It's really good with like Unearth. I did have a Cedrus deck for a while. This would have been great in that, or this is probably actually a better commander, because this also obviously works with Encore, which is the mechanic in the new set. Because with Encore and this, apologies, you will get to keep the tokens. Anything that says remove at end step, you can do this at the end of your main phase, or sorry, in your second main phase. So you never have an end step. So therefore, any tokens or anything you've cheated in will not go, because that clause won't be met, and then you can just grind out value, do some dumb stuff. This is a fun one. Yeah, this is one I'm also... There's a few good commanders in this set. Again, this Magical Christmas Land, there's too many things I want to build. Talking of, Nostro, the Voice of Crags, is 1 blue, red, white, for legendary creature Chimera. It is a 3/3. You can tap it and choose one. X is the number of spells you cast this turn. Scry X, or this creature deals X damage to target creature, or you gain X life. There's probably some infinite combo with this card, probably involving Aetherflux Reservoir and the life gain type thing. So you cast a load of spells, tap it to gain a load of life. That's already fed into the reservoir, and then you've gained life as well, so you can shoot someone. That seems pretty good. You want to play a lot of... there's a lot of spells that untap creatures, so Dramatic Reversal already goes infinite with a few things, but that is probably really good in this deck, and those things it goes infinite with are probably really good in this deck. It goes in like a Kaikar style build, or it could just even replace it as the commander. It's pretty versatile. There's 3 decent abilities to represent all the 3 colours, and oddly the life gain might be the part that combos off white is doing something. Yeah, like this card. Play this card. Should be fun. Alright, let's crack on to Plague Reaver. It is 2 and a black for a creature beast. It is a 6/5. There must be a downside. Well, there is. At the beginning of your end step, sacrifice each other creature you control. That's a bit of a downside. It also has the ability to discard 2 cards, sacrifice Plague Reaver, choose target opponent, return Plague Reaver to the battlefield under that player's control at the beginning of their next upkeep. This is a weird one, and I'm trying to work out if I've evaluated it correctly. I don't think this is actually that good. The design and what I think they want the play pattern to be is kind of, you give it, like, you play this, you discard your cards, you give it to someone, they then give it to someone else, and it goes around the table, that kind of thing. What I think is most likely to happen is you give it to someone, they then give it back to you. Then you have to discard cards to get rid of it again. This is very much like a Poison Chalice type thing. If you're in the deck which can give it to someone without the discard, then obviously it gets a lot better, and that is where it will see play. There's the Radkos commander from the set which does that. In those kind of decks, I think this is decent. That you may still end up with this back, which will suck. But yeah, in those decks, I think it's good. Don't play it in anything else. Maybe Tiny Bones might take advantage of this a little bit, but I don't know. There are decks that want this, and in every other thing, I don't think this is actually that good. But that's just my take. If you like it, play it. Everyone do themselves. Have fun. Okay, Rootweaver Druid. 2 and a green for a creature elf druid. It is a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent may search their library for up to 3 basic land cards. They each put one of those cards onto the battlefield tapped under your control, and the rest onto the battlefield tapped under their control. Then each player who searches their library this way shuffles it. So this is a weird one. Generally speaking, this is a really, really weird card. especially with these type of cards, it's always the option of the opponent to say no. And if I'm honest, every time I read this card, there's another clause which kind of can change my mind on it. So the fact that the opponent may search their library and it's up to 3 basic lands means that they could search for 1, and then in which case they would just put that 1 onto their side of the battlefield and you don't get anything. Which seems like quite a bit of a downside. Maybe I am missing something with this card, and that is entirely possible. It's been a long weekend, but generally speaking, your opponents, if they don't have to get all 3, make sure like for up to 3 basic lands, they could just get 1 land, and then they put that land under their control. There's nothing making them get ramping you. I don't see why they would do that. Or they just say no. I don't know. This doesn't seem great. If I'm missing something, please do tell me. If this card is secretly if this card is blatantly actually really good and I'm just misreading it again and again, please let me know. But I don't think this is good unless, as I said, unless I'm missing something. I will spend more time reading this card later on tonight, and we'll talk about it tomorrow if I'm wrong. So cool. Let's crack on to Court of Bounty. I know I'm not going to be wrong about this one. 2 green for an enchantment. When Court of Bounty enters the battlefield, you become the Monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If you're the Monarch, instead you may put a creature or land card from your hand onto the battlefield. This card is really, really good. Green wasn't struggling for card draw, but it will take it with this. Green's also most likely to be the colour to keep the Monarch as well, because it goes wide pretty well and it goes up pretty well. So, of all the colours, you're most likely to stay the you're most likely to stay the commander with your generic board state. With this, obviously, if you're in white and you have a board wipe, then you're likely to be the commander, but you're not really advancing stuff. This goes into the strategy that it wants to be doing really, I think, very, very well. Especially in a full in the wild 100-card game of Commander. Card draw and a free creature to play is insane. This might just be a green staple. I hope I get one, because there are many decks I want to put this in. Play this card, it is great. Okay, we have a Wolfram now. Anara Wolfpack Familiar, 3 and a green for a legendary creature, Wolf Beast. It is a 4/4. As long as it's your turn, commanders you control have indestructible. It also has partner. So I think it's a good role player in Limited. It'll let your commanders attack freely, including itself. So when it attacks, it's a 4-mana 4/4 with indestructible. That's fine in a game of Limited. That's fun in a game of Limited. How it is in a game of Limited Commander, we will find out if we get to play this in person. So the obvious thing for this is like a Gruul Smash deck. Maybe with Arden, in an Aura's aggro deck, because Arden is really, really good, and I think it makes other cards better. But yeah, I'm not sure what this goes in outside. I'll have a think. But yeah, nothing is sticking out to me. I think this is going for Limited, but not much after that. Okay, next we have Wrong Turn. So the reminder text for this card is very important. Keep that in mind as I read it out. Wrong Turn, 2 and a blue for an instant. Target opponent gains control of target creature. And this is the important part. If an attacking or blocking creature changes controller, it's removed from combat. So I had so much I wanted to talk about with this card, about there's so much stuff you can do, until I then read the reminder text, and it basically took most of that away. Because I was changing stuff in combat would have been awesome. You can change when they attack, you can then make it your blocker, and it's awesome, and you can't do that. But there are theft decks, there are decks that want this type of effect. The fact it is an instant, and the fact that you can give it that it's not that the you always have to give it to an opponent, but it doesn't have to be your creature, is interesting. You can give whether it's good or not, but you can give the player who's losing the player who's winning best creature, and then have a kind of a temporary alliance. There's some good politics going into this card, which I quite like. And obviously this is good in Zedru or anything that actually wants to move stuff around and deal stuff like that. But fun. This is one of those cards that leads to stories, and do you remember the time when this player did this and it was great? This is one of those cards. So while it might not be as stupidly powerful as some of the other rares we've seen, it has a place, and yeah, should lead to some good stories in sealed and in the wild. Okay, now we're getting into the red Bombi thing. Soulfire Eruption, 6 red for a sorcery. Okay, I'm going to drink some tea before I read this one. It's quite a lot. Choose any number of target creatures, planeswalkers, and/or players. For each, exile the top card of your library. Then Soulfire Eruption deals damage to that permanent or player equal to that card's committed mana cost. Until the end of your next turn, you may exile. Until the end of the next turn, you may play the exiled cards. So this is a lot of text. This card is awesome. I'm assuming the correct thing to do is to choose all your opponent's stuff and all of your opponents. If you're in a token deck as well, then I guess you can pick like your own stuff, your own stuff. So you're going to be in a big mana deck anyway with this because it's 9 mana. So there's a chance you may already be in a landfall deck. So pinging the Avenger tokens with this might not be the end of the world, but then just killing all their blockers and then swinging with them is also pretty good. The fact it lets you play them next turn is very helpful and makes this much more playable because this 9 mana, most of the time, you're not going to be able to do much after you've cast this, but this is a haymaker. If you play this when you're ahead, you probably just win on the spot, and if you're not, it'll catch you up so quickly. It just basically means that this... yeah, this card is dumb. A lot of the mythics... So, in other sets, the mythics aren't always dumb. There are some kind of underwhelming ones. In this, they seem to have really rammed them home that no, they have a place in Commander, a lot of these cards, and this is no exception. This card is dumb. We will lose to this. Okay, Armored Skyhunter is next. 3 and a white for a creature. Cat Knight is a 3/3 with flying. Whenever Armored Skyhunter attacks, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may put an aura or equipment card from among them onto the battlefield. If an equipment is put on the battlefield this way, you may attach it to a creature you control. Put the rest of those cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So I really like this card. This is obviously meant to go in an aura or equipment deck. So in kind of like Boros equipment or like Bant auras, something like that would be really good. This is card advantage in white. That's not something that it obviously gets that often. Something everyone's been complaining about that white needs stuff to do, and in the right deck, this is that thing. Yeah, if you play equipment, if you play auras, play this card. It is awesome. The one-liner play is the first thing you probably attaches to this just to make sure that it survives the first round of combat. Then after that, you can start buffing up the rest of your team or your commander or something like that. But yeah, this obviously scales with multiple attack type things. So you want to make sure it survives the first one to then give you value later on. So cool. Let's crack on to another really interesting white card. So Promise of Tomorrow is 2 and a white for an enchantment. When a creature you control dies, exile it. At the beginning of each end step, if you control no creatures, sacrifice Promise of Tomorrow and return all cards exiled with it to the battlefield under your control. So this seems very broken. This is also a really, really good... So again, another really, really good white card. They are paying attention. So importantly note with this card, the dies triggers still happen before they get exiled. So this will probably be an auto-clued in Aristocrats, I think, and probably with Flicker as well. Just play this as a redundancy Flicker card. Like it is protection for so many white decks. It just stops board wipes. It makes board wipes miserable for your opponents, which is a really cool place to be, because this is card advantage in white as far as I'm concerned. It's kind of a bit arse backwards, but if you have this out and your board state, that is a form of advantage. The fact that you get the ETB triggers again. There's so many good ETB triggers in Magic that just getting them back from a board wipe, like you could wipe your own. You could wipe the board. Like you could be the one doing the board wipe. If you have a Flicker deck, it turns your board wipes into Flickers. That's insane. This is really good. Yeah, obviously it's Seth MacKinnon art, so it's awesome, and I want this. There's probably some really dumb. There will be infinite combo lines with this, and things that bring back enchantments from the graveyard and that kind of stuff. Yeah, awesome, love it. Really good to see this white getting this effect, and yeah, interesting card. Okay, next we have Armix Filgree Thrasher. Sorry, talking of thrashing, my throat is ruined right now. I said this was tea. It's actually kind of like a hot toddy. Good for the soul as well. All right. Armix Filgree Thrasher is 2 and a black for a legendary artifact creature Golem. It's a 3/2 with partner. When Armix Filgree Thrasher attacks, you may discard a card. When you do, target creature defending player controls get -6/-X until end of turn, where X is the number of artifacts you control plus the number of artifact cards in your graveyard. So, another black artifact matters commander. This one seems to be leaning towards the equipment-y side, though, because you want to be attacking to make the most of it. This is probably going to be good and limited, and outside of that, I think partnering this with Silas Wren could be a ton of fun. Because they both want to be attacking, so you could actually make a aggro Demir equipment deck. That kind of sounds interesting and fun, so let's give that a go. Yeah, seems fun. Give it a go. Okay, next we have a simple card that I think will get played in limited. I think it's quite right too. But I'm going to mention this because it can also be played as a budget option for drawing cards. So by that I mean play it in white. Staunch Throne Guard is 5 mana for an artifact creature construct. It is a 2/5 with vigilance, and when it comes to the battlefield, you become the Monarch. Yeah, love Monarch, as we've gone over many times on this channel. This goes in any colour in limited. I would consider running one of these. Okay, the next 2 cards are so hot off the press. The translation is very... the card I'm pretty sure is correct. So the text of the card is correct, but I don't think this card is actually called Ooze Partner. Sorry for ruining anyone's day with that one. We think this one is called Slurk the All-Consuming, but that may change. For the moment, we're going to call it Ooze Partner. Ooze Partner is 5 and a green for legendary creature Ooze. It is obviously a partner. Its base power toughness is 0/0. When it enters the battlefield... Sorry, it enters the battlefield with 5+1 counters on it. When a creature you control with a +1 counter on it dies, put a +1 counter on each creature you control with a +1 counter on it. Excuse me. So this is an Ooze tribal commander, but more than that, it's actually a really good +1 counter deck. So it's looking more that in the draft format that Selesnya is going to be +1 counters as well as tokens, which is cool and also kind of weird. But having but giving Selesnya 2 things to do is never a bad idea. Is the thing that I normally struggle to come up with ideas for in Cube. So again, another card that I don't think this is actually its name is Ooze Lord. Ooze Lord is 2 green for a creature Ooze. It is a 0/0. Creatures you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a token that's a copy of Ooze Lord. So obviously this goes in said Ooze Commander tribal deck. But also I actually kind of want to play this in the Shapeshifter tribal deck that I'm trying to brew and make work. Because Shapeshifters are Oozes too. You know, spread the love around, all that good stuff. Cool, so let's crack over to a few other things that obviously been like some reprints. Thought Vessel, Swiftfoot Boots, Fire Diamond, good to see. Akiri and Derevi, cool. Boris Charm, Fact or Fiction. Just some good solid reprints, good to see them. I think there's still one more person who's going to be spoiling videos, but they're spoiling them at like midnight my time. So I will be in bed. Oh, man's got work in the morning. But we'll be back tomorrow with another hot takes video. Thank you very much, everyone, for your support this week. It's been highly appreciated. It's been really good to see all the feedback and all the likes and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. I will see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.